Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to our first annual mock draft here. I'm joined alongside Darian Coleman and Chris Moore. So, guys, we're here today. As you know, the draft this year is a little bit later than usual. So, we have a little bit extra time, guys like ourselves, to put together a mock draft. So, we've all come together here today to bring our expertise and insight to who we think each team will pick. And we'll start with the top 10. So, as we all know, the Houston Texans are on the clock, been on the clock for a good amount of months now. So I think we should all know who they want to pick, but we've heard a lot of murmurings.
But we don't.
We don't know who they want to pick. So we're here today to give our insight of who we think they should pick. So Darian, you're on the clock. Houston Texans. Who do you take at the number one pick?
Well, who I would take is not who I think the Texans are going to take. Now, I think the player with the highest ceiling in this draft is Jadeveon Clowney, but I don't think he's high enough on Houston's mind. So I have Houston going with Khalil Mack with the first pick in the draft.
Interesting pick there. I think Khalil Mack rising up a lot of people's draft boards. So, Chris, who do you think will be the number one pick?
I have the same guy, I have Khalil Mack. I think there's three solid guys that can be all-pro players for the next 10 years, and Khalil Mack's one of them. And I think the Texans are sold on that, and I think they're going to go Khalil Mack with the number one pick.
Well, I do think that the Texans should go quarterback because there's a major need, whether who they like, Bortles, Ridgewater, Manziel, Carr, whoever they like. But maybe they may consider trading this pick. But I think if everything stays chalk, they'll take Jadeveon Clowney. Make sure I get that right. The DN, I think he can come in, be about 8 to 10 sacks a year, and be a Pro Bowl caliber player.
Especially alongside J.J. Watt.
J.J. Watt.
If he hits his ceiling, he'll get more than 10 sacks a year.
Absolutely. And Roman Crennel in that defense, being a defensive coordinator, will help out a lot. So I forget led the Patriots to Super Bowls with that defense as well.
There's a lot of directions they could go. They could trade it. They could do a lot of things with it.
It'll be interesting to see what the Texans do. Not far off, we know that. Mm-hmm. So second pick in the draft, St. Louis Rams, they're very interesting. They like the trade. We could see a trade. I don't know if any of you are calling for a trade, but Chris, who do you think the Rams will pick at number 2?
I have a trade. I think if Clowney's there, Atlanta wants him. Atlanta has made it noted that they like Clowney. They want him, and they need a difference maker on defense. So I have them with a mock trade, trading with the St. Louis Rams, trading up to 2 and taking Clowney.
All right, Darian, who do you think they'll take?
Same thing. I also think they will trade the pick, and they will trade with Atlanta, and Atlanta will take Jadeveon Clowney. But I think if the Rams stay put at number 2, they'll draft Greg Robinson because I think he's the best offensive lineman in this draft.
He might be the best player in this draft. Honestly.
He might be the most stable. He's the most.
Yeah.
He's probably the.
I think he's the biggest guarantee in this draft.
I like what the Rams are doing down there with Jeff Fisher. Got a lot of good, talented players. I think they're going to stockpile more picks. They could trade back, like you said, but I think they'll go Greg Robinson. Definitely a freak. We saw at the Combine, but I think what he can do there with Auburn, I think he can do it his league, protect Sam Bradford, and help lead this Rams team back to be competitive in that division.
Hopefully keep Sam Bradford on the field because he has
that's what they need. They need some protection for Bradford.
Jake Long hasn't really panned out. So we move on to the third pick. Our guy, Gus Bradley down there in Jacksonville, coming from Seattle. You know what he wants to do with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Third pick, who you going with, Darian?
I think the Jags have built a nice program down there. I think they're a much improved defensive team. They're underrated. I think their biggest need is at quarterback, and I think the best quarterback in this draft is Blake Bortles, and I have the Jags taking him with the third pick.
Well, first quarterback off the board.
While I agree they need a quarterback, I think that they're not very high on, which I don't know if any teams are very high on any of these quarterbacks. I think they'll wait to the second round to get more value, and I think they're going to get their quarterback some help. I think they're going Sammy Watkins.
Probably one of the better players available in this draft.
Definitely the best receiver.
Definitely best receiver. Personally, I think the Jaguars with Gus Bradley and their regime, they're going to go best player available. I think they're building a Seattle East. They're going to build defense first. Mm-hmm. And I think Khalil Mack will be on the board. They'll go Khalil Mack. He'll be able to get after the Andrew Lucks in that division and guys like that. So I think Khalil Mack goes to the Jaguars. Cleveland Browns. Well, Cleveland hasn't rocked lately, but they do have a lot of needs, especially at the quarterback position. Chris, do they go quarterback here?
I think they do. I think that they are high on Johnny Manziel, and I think the Browns are a team that knows if they get a quarterback that can stay healthy, I think that they can be a contending team in that division. I think they'll go Johnny Manziel. I think that they want to make a splash in this draft. I think they're going Manziel.
I agree with you. I also think they will draft Johnny Manziel. I think that they have a nice receiver in Josh Gordon. He led the league in receiving yards last year. They do have a very solid defense, which they spent a lot of money adding to this offseason. So I think Johnny Manziel is the best pick for him.
Personally, we all know I like Johnny Manziel here at this table. I think he'll be a good fit. You put him with Kyle Shanahan, the offensive coordinator. I think Mike Pettin, coming from Buffalo, will be a good first-year coach. I think he's very underrated. A lot of people don't know about him, but I think he'll be very good. Hold his guys accountable. Put him with guys like Josh Gordon. I think this team could be very competitive in that division. So we'll move on now to the Oakland Raiders. We all know the black hole. They haven't done anything lately, really, but lose wins, So let's see what they do. What do you think they're going to do?
Well, the Oakland Raiders, whether Al Davis is alive or not, they love drafting fast guys, and that would be Sammy Watkins. He ran a 4.34, I believe, in the 40-yard dash at the combine, and I think he is the most talented receiver in this draft. I think Sammy Watkins is a nice fit for Oakland.
I think a lot of the guys that they want in my draft are already gone, so I think they're going to go safe. I think Greg Robinson goes here to the Raiders at 5, an offensive tackle. I think it's a safe pick. And they made moves this offseason to where they think they can compete this year. So I think they're going to build in the interior and go Greg Robinson.
They're going to compete with Matt Schaub?
Well, I'm saying they think they're going to compete. They made moves that show they want to compete this year.
I would have to agree with you, Darian. I think Sammy Watkins will end up with the Raiders, and I think he can be a guy to come right in and be a number one receiver next to James Jones, give you 1,000 yards and about 8 to 10 touchdowns, even with Matt Schaub.
Don't get me wrong. If he's there, they're taking him. I just don't have him there.
We'll move on to the 6th pick, Atlanta Falcons. Team that was very injury-riddled last year. So, Chris, who do you think the Falcons will go for at number 6 if they don't trade or stay back?
Well, I have them staying at 6, and they need offensive line help. That's their big issue is keeping Sam Bradford healthy. If he can stay healthy,
Falcons, not the Rams.
I have the trade. I have the mock trade. The Rams' big issue is trying to stay healthy, or trying to keep Sam Bradford healthy. So I think they're going to take Jake Matthews.
I agree. I think this will be the Rams' pick, not necessarily Falcons. But if the Falcons stay at 6, I have them taking Jadeveon Clowney if he's still there. I don't have him still being there. That's why I'm going to trade up to get him.
Yep.
But the Rams at the 6th spot, I think, will have Robinson as well because I feel like he's a great tackle that they can build around.
Yeah.
Well, with the Falcons, I think you see one of the big first splashes of the draft. As we all know, Tony Gonzalez just retired. You have Julio Jones, Roddy White, TV down there in Georgia, in the Georgia Dome. I think they go Eric Ebron, the tight end, who you say they've been comparing to Jimmy Graham, has a lot of upside, called himself a dangerous weapon on the field, should be illegal. I think they go tight end here, give Matt Ryan another weapon, and they're going to score a lot of points.
Yeah, they don't need it, but you can't.
Available.
You can't be upset if they get another weapon.
So we'll move on to the Tampa Bay Bucks. Lovie Smith's new regime is down there. He's got Josh McCown. Looks like he may be committed to him. So Darian, who do you think Lovie Smith will take in his draft in the Bucks?
I think the Bucks will take Mike Evans. I think they'll add another big body receiver with Vincent Jackson down there, and I think they'll get their running game
about
together.
That combo.
Vincent Jackson and Mike Evans would be a lethal combo down there. They've done a lot of spending on the defensive side of the ball this offseason as well. I like what they've done. I like the moves they made. I think the Bucks will make some noise in that NFC South this year.
Definitely, Chris.
Same thing, Mike Evans. You got a guy from Texas A&M that can go right along with Vincent Jackson. You got 2 red zone weapons for whoever the quarterback ends up being, whether it's McCown or Mike Glennon. But yeah, I think they go Mike Evans and get
it. All in agreement here. Mike Evans. I heard a lot of draft pundits say he can go up and get the ball better than a lot of guys they've seen in recent memory, including the Larry Fitzgeralds and the Calvin Johnsons. Not saying he's better, but saying he can go up and get the ball unlike any other they've seen in recent memory. He's got the speed, the size, the hands, just a man out there. And I think he can come in and be a 1,000-yard receiver, especially with Josh McCown. But we know Lovie Smith loves his defense, so getting a weapon will help out.
I think Vincent Jackson will help take pressure off of him, too.
Yeah.
So you really can't double team. Minnesota Vikings. Mike Zimmer, new head coach, defensive guy. Brought in Norv Turner, as you know, offensive coordinator, with Adrian Peterson, the 2,000-yard rusher. You know he'll be back. What do you think they'll do, Chris?
I'm going Blake Bortles as my guy. I'm really high on Blake Bortles, and I think that this is one team that it'll be perfect for a rookie quarterback because you can turn around and hand the ball to AP all day long. And I think that's what the Vikings are going to do. I think they'll go Blake Bortles, and I think he might be the most NFL-ready quarterback today with his size and build. And so I think they'll go Blake Bortles.
Yeah.
If Blake Bortles is there, I would agree with you, but I have him going 3rd to Jacksonville. So I think they do need a quarterback, and I have them taking Teddy Bridgewater, who a lot of people have fallen to the 2nd round, but I just don't see him slipping past all the teams in the top 10 that need a quarterback.
Yeah.
So I have him going to Minnesota.
Personally, I agree with Chris. I think Blake Bortles will be on the board. We all know Norv Turner likes his strong arm quarterbacks, luxury of turning around and hand it off to Adrian Peterson. But DeAndre Hopkins, the young receiver, Cordell Patterson? Cordell Patterson.
Yeah.
Cordell Patterson, I'm sorry. I get him confused all the time.
Yeah.
Cordell Patterson showed a lot last year. He's a dynamic receiver.
He's going to
be
great in the return game as well.
Aging Greg Jennings, but still solid, respectable. But Kyle Rudolph, one of the best young tight ends in the
Yep.
league.
Yep.
I think they'll be pretty solid.
About your pick there with who you have?
Bridgewater.
Yeah, Bridgewater. If he falls past 8, he might have a long.
Then he falls.
He
to
might have a
You gotta
long
free
first.
ball.
Yeah, he might have a long stay in the.
in the green room.
Yep.
Don't
Yeah.
want that. Buffalo Bills. Y'all know passing Ralph Wilson. Heard murmurings about Donald Trump trying to be the new owner. You got EJ Manuel, young quarterback. Team that needs some help in that competing that division. Darian, where do you think they go in the draft?
To protect that young quarterback EJ Manuel and get some blindside help, I think they'll take Taylor Lewin,
Mhm.
tackle. I think he's also a very good offensive player. He moves very well with his feet. I think they'll either take him, or if not, then they'll add a weapon in Eric Ebron.
I'm going Taylor Lewin. I think that EJ Manuel had a productive year last year when he was healthy, and I think their big thing is they want to keep him healthy. So I think they're going to go to Taylor Lewin and keep EJ Manuel healthy as best they can.
I like a guy that helped protect Johnny Manziel in college. Jake Matthews, good offensive lineman, like you said, to protect EJ Manuel. I think that's what they'll lean towards. Try to get him some time. They added some weapons. So get your quarterback some time, let him throw the ball downfield. So our final pick in the top 10, Detroit Lions, Jim Caldwell, new head coach. Offensively, they can score with anybody. Matthew Stafford, Megatron, Reggie Bush, going for Golden Tate, new addition.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you think they take here? Probably need some defensive help.
Well, you said that all the offensive players, so yep, I think they go defense. I think they go back end. I think they go Clinton Dix. For me, anytime you take a guy out of Alabama on the defensive side of the ball, you're probably getting a pretty good player.
Probably.
So I think they'll go Clinton Dix and shore up the back end.
I agree. I think they'll also go Clinton Dix, and I know that Jim Caldwell is an offensive guy, which is why I say if Eric Ebron's still there, they may take him because they do need a tight end. But I think they lost Louis Delmas to Miami this year, so they're going to try to replace the safety position. So they're going to draft Clinton Dix.
I'm in agreement with you all. Clinton Dix, probably one of the better safeties in this draft. You know, he comes from Alabama. You know the pedigree that he has. Nick Saban, I think they improved their defense, and they add Clinton Dix. So gentlemen, that's our first 10 picks. We'll be back with 11 through 20. Let us know what you think about our first 10 picks. We'll be back.